introducing the iconic Angela Davis and her amazing hair. So start out with a very basic sense of the shape, and you're going to want to work really light when you do this. I think that gives us a nice representation of the basic shape of her hair. And the next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to assess it so far as local value is concerned. One of the things that I like about this particular photo of Angela Davis is that the value of her hair, which is so famously just black, 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 black hair. In this case, she's gotten older and her hair is this kind of beautiful silvery color. And so the local value of her hair never gets to be dark. So as you're working gently with your pencil and you're shading around, you're trying to figure out what's the local value and how do I express this head of silvery hair. One of the ways that you're going to do it is you're not going to let yourself move into darkness. You know, the whole value of this thing, it's like the value that you might encounter on, say, an egg or something like that. I'm tempted to throw in the background value a little bit just to help illustrate how light this hair is. Okay. So we're covering local value. And the next thing that I want to cover is what are the forms? Like, what are the forms that we have to account for? And one of the things that's really cool about her hair is that the form is a fairly simple form. It's really this kind of one shape. And here's the light direction coming from this way. And then once you get through that one form, then there are these smaller kind of ringlet forms which we'll be addressing, which take place in her hair. So let's take the bigger rendering and very gently see if we can't render the value of her hair appropriately. We're moving up towards the light in our rendering. So I start with these kind of glazes. And over again. This is the only way I've been able to kind of successfully darken where I need to build gradual transitions. I have a tendency to work in these repeated movements of graphite, just continuing to build down towards the bottom of the form and turn upwards. And she's been shot in really dramatic light, and as her hair moves down into here, it darkens. And look at the sense of form that I'm starting to build. The sense of form is the most important thing. And I'll constantly work on it first. So once you've decided on a local value, the next thing that you want to work on is where's the light coming from? How am I going to use that light direction and my value movement with my local value to express a sense of form. Here, I'm starting to turn this hair up towards the light, and I'm starting to give it volume and mass. This is going to be the lightness up here. In an instance like this that I've chosen for myself, it will be enormously helpful to darken the background. Okay, and then I will go through and I'm going to darken some of the background. Now, if the background is darkening, that gives me an opportunity when I'm establishing the value of the background. That gives me an opportunity to assess and see if I can't start to deal with part of what's happening on the silhouette. So the silhouette has, it is not a smooth curve. There's a lot of variation. And there's a considerable amount of softness, which I'll have to go back and reestablish. But I want to allow for the amount of variation that I'm seeing. And one of the things I'm kind of learning is that the value, as it moves into this part of the form, has really darkened because it becomes this invisible transition between the foreground and the background there. So you can see on this side of the head where I've done this, it's starting to become convincing already. Far more so than if I had jumped straight in and tried to portray stringy lines and say that that's the hair. And this is making me realize again that the essential form of the hair is not entirely correct, and that it needs to darken through here more. And as we move out through there, the hair shares a really deep, rich, dark value with the background. Okay. I am going to turn up towards the light again. I think that I want to avoid, I think I want to hold the value, the lightest light value. I think I want to hold that in reserve for highlights. And so I'm looking to establish my values, the value of the entire piece. And with this value, I think I'm going to go through and soften my edges. The edges are really nice and soft. Over here, my edge transitions again are not quite soft enough. And for the time being, I'm avoiding smudging. And I'm avoiding it because it's best to really try and develop pencil control. Smudging can be really useful. But while we're practicing, we really want to try to develop pressure and pencil control so that we can get the exact value and the exact place that we want. I wish that my particular hatching was a little more organized. Maybe someday I'll learn how to do that good. Okay, now in order to establish the form again, I'm going to need to lighten up because I've darkened myself out of the real form that's happening here with Angela Davis's hair. And I would be doing this with the eraser. I like a cartridge eraser. I like the kneaded eraser shaped to a nice little point. Okay, so I've established the big form. I've established the silhouette. I've established the local value. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to start to work on smaller forms. So, for instance, in here, there are these great smaller forms, and they come shooting down in this direction, like these ringlets. And it comes down this way. And I'm just putting in the local value that I see and the basic shape. I'm trying to establish the edge quality of it that I see, and the edge quality has all these little hairs that are moving off and around it. And then once I set that up, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to put in the light part. Like these are cylinders. These are these excellent little cylinders, and they come swooping around. And I think I can even risk just taking it all the way to white in some little spots. And that starts to be a really nicely convincing ringlet. And so I'm going to go back in and do the same. Right here I see another one. And I'm establishing the darkness, the shadow of the thing and the darkness. And now I'm going to bring out the light side of it. And I've got another one. Okay, and the last thing I'll do on that one is a couple of little highlights. Let me see what I can do to get a couple, just a few little spots that say, hey, this thing's really going on. In through here, I see some little highlights that are just curling through, and going all in this way are just a few, just like you just want to pick a few. You don't have to do every single thing. So then let's come up here, and there are forms up in here which are really circular and light, and you can start to work with them. This helps our edge development. It's also a minor form up in through here. This is really helping us get good texture. Little highlights in the light zone. These great little highlights. And this helps disguise some of the work that we had to do to build up the major part of the form. This helps us see past that into the texture of the hair. I'm going to do another ringlet in here. And they have a tendency to cast a shadow and then come back and have light areas. And look at, there's a couple of really nice ones over this way, like almost kind of in some places there's a kind of a darkness that you can see kind of between some of the strands of hair. It's like you're seeing deep into. And then out on this edge, if you come back to this edge, there'd be a real need to clean this edge where it comes up against the face, because what you have is the edge of the hair doesn't come in like that. It's very soft. And then when it does overlap the face, what it does is it has a shadow, and it's a really light shadow that comes over about like that. And casting that shadow is a really big deal. It really makes it look like what it is. And over in here, look at this great darkness. And how it gently turns upwards. Again, there's a shadow of her hair down through here, but it's not to be mistaken with strands of hair. So I would definitely like to, be lighter. I really want to have this not be, I don't want a competing texture. I don't want the texture that I'm starting to say is a cast shadow on her skin. I don't want that to be competing in any way with the what I'm saying is happening in her hair. So I have to be really careful how I do this. And I'm kind of getting there. I'm sort of feel like this is pretty good. I think that we could call it with Angela Davis's hair. I think I would take some highlights and bring them down into here. That's maybe a little too far. I think I took that a little too far. Kind of try to soften what I just did. But yeah. That's her earring. Okay. Angela Davis hair.